To Dreamy Dreamland with your Sensie Owl Bob. That's me, this guy right here. Your griot here to tell you a story. So, shaking bacon. What's shaking? Um, I've been out in the deep green now for a month and a week, give or take, without a car. So I've been just here. On Sundays, churchy people come and get me, and then I taken to them, and everything is hunky dory. So the interesting thing of all of this is um, how the rest of the world is just off into wild blue yonder. Church was discussing unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness, and they were just reading verses, from Matthew, rather than kind of looking at the world, because they're pretty much. You read the King James, it's kind of a book that you're supposed to read to give you perspective on what's going on in your life, not to take verbatim every verse as some a word, this is all the sacred word of God. Well, every word's the sacred word of God. Every word is a spell. Every word, you write in English, there's 24 letters in the alphabet. So that means all those words have numbers. That means they make algorithms. That mean they control mechanisms. If you don't get any of this, well, that's okay. That means you're part of the bovine, right? So, I'm here, and I've died 7 times so far. Seemingly, I have 2 more to go. And I'm here as God's doula. Now, I never like using words like God or Yahweh or any of that kind of, or Allah. No, these are cultural motifs, right? The real deal of what there's only love's co-creation. That's it. This world, universe, galaxy, et al. Is made from love's co-creation. Now, within that dynamic, there are plenty of oopsies for us to play with, because that's all this is a sandbox for us as a spiritual spirit, spiritos, soul. We are given a body to play with. This is, our school days, right? We are learning to grow up. I miss my grandpa because of you. Well, you can call me grandpa if that makes you feel better. And I've dealt with a lot of death in my life. Hundreds of people who I cared deeply about died, especially during the AIDS epidemic, right? And I was their friend, so I would, there were, especially late 70s, early 80s, people had no idea. People thought if you got breathed on by somebody with AIDS, you catch it. No. And I knew this early on. And so I was the one person who would go to see my friends when they were like really, 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 really sick and had black marks all over their face. When you get old people, their skin is like paper. So they brush up against something that would normally not do anything, and it leaves a black mark. It's quite interesting. And the people with AIDS in their 20s, 30s, 40s, they kind of look that way, but way worse. And we are all good people. Our spirits are good. We just get damaged as we go along, and we think our body is it. It's not. Now, one of the great gifts of dying, as many times as I have, I've been conscious of it, and so I kind of experienced what it was like and what it was like coming back, And so it's nothing really to fear, right? The only thing to fear is, a smart person would say, is fear itself. I am doing excelente. Had a beautiful day today so far, and I don't know what I'll be doing after this show is over. Maybe I'll do a show tomorrow, maybe I won't, or maybe who knows, right? So that's what it is. Anyway. So here we are, 5 minutes and 40 seconds into the show. And the thing is to be consciously aware. Conscious I am, right? Aware. You know? Conscious intent I am aware. So whenever you're doing something, be conscious aware of it. Just don't go through it. I mean, that's one of the reasons why the show is called Dreamy Dreamland, is because everyone is in a dreamy dreamland. I have no idea what they're doing, where they're going, what's going on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I've had many, many, many lives, many careers, many loved ones, and I am a collective of all of those experiences, not just singular. A lot of people cut themselves off from whatever experience they just had and pretend like it never happened. That's not that'll come back and bite you. Whatever it was, and it could always be worse, right? Well, that's a sweet one. My friend, thank you for doing what you do. My nephew also suffers from Down syndrome, and we watch the show together. Thank you for proving that it's not a crotch, but it's just a hurdle. Yep. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you? Well, I'm pushing 80, right? I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. And the thing is, you are as old as you feel and as you act. Now, my face has a lot of miles on it. Sometimes it really looks, I look at myself in the mirror and go, wow, is that really me? And it depends on how the light's hitting your face at the moment. But well, you're a gift to me. And I feel it. It's one reason why I do this show, And again, you can get a hold of me personally at the dudeawake42 at Gmail, dudeawake42 at Gmail, right? And we can, and if you live in the United States, I can give you a call, give me a phone number, or we can communicate on email, right? And so, Dave, I commented. Let's see. And God bless us all, because we are a family. We are all here together. Again, get a hold of me at the dudeawake42 at Gmail. Now, I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, so often my emails come slow. But, if you got a phone number, I can call you up and we can do that whatever thing, picture phone thing. Anyway, so to blame other people for your experience is a waste of time, and it's also doesn't do any good, right? And is also, in a way, is that my buddy coming? It's also a whatchamacallit, a negative result, right? So if it's my buddy, I'm going to jump off. And if it's not, I'll keep talking. So it's a beautiful day here at the Deep Green. Well, this ain't the Deep Green, but it's my neighbor's pretty place. Anyway. Seeing your kitty giggles. Yes. Yep. Enjoyment is what life's about, and not a hollow enjoyment. Seeing the grass grow, the dandelions push up, kids giggle, catching a fish with a friend. All these kind of deep but seemingly incidental things are what's important about life. Your career, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a waste of time. It's just a mechanism. It's a tool. It's like a screwdriver. It's not who you are. And I have lots of skill sets. And as I would get better and better at them, people will say, "Oh, so you're that? That's what you're a doctor. Oh, you're a psychiatrist. Oh, you're a anthropologist. Oh, you're a sociologist. Oh, you're a electrical engineer. Oh, yes, I'm all of those, but I'm none of them, right? I'm Sensie Owl Bob. I'm here to be a good example. Someone is having a bad day. Our shut the up person there. That's like the fifth time they said that. So let's say a little prayer for all those folks who are suffering from their own malfeasance, from their own stupidity, from their own ego. That's really all it is. Ego. Ego is a non-existent illusion that we spend too much time with in life are the most beautiful things. Yeah. So I watched a butterfly fly around this morning for a good 10 minutes. Anyway, so those things are what matter. And cooking your own food. That's why you go to a fast food place. I mean, I've given up fast food, except for, a few friends who really addicted to it. I go to the place with them, and so that's kind of what it is. But it's empty calories. It's killing the world. I'm, as I always am, tremendous. Prayer is the answer. Praise God, praise Jesus, and bless the other. The other, our brother, sister from another mother in the crosshairs of cultural, dystopian, egocentric narcissism. It's called war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Go read Colonel, he was the most decorated soldier in World War I, Butler, Smiley Butler. Go read his book, War is a Racket. How can you be a better person? Don't be a robot. Don't have your life on autopilot. Whenever you go to do anything, brush your teeth, go to work, drive your car, anything, do it in conscious intent with love co-creation. That way you'll know you'll get there. Let's see. So I did a lot of that, working for governments and institutions and corporations, right? And I had a set skill set, right? Mostly I could demographic. I'm a psychosocial cultural forensic anthropologist, right? And what I really am is a shamanic psychosocial cultural forensic anthropologic alchemist. Alchemy, turning, scant elements into gold, right? And what is gold? Something highly valuable. What is the most valued thing? Love. Shamanism, what is that? That is a worldview. Whatever, you are, you're Muslim, you're Christian, you're Jewish, you're Baptist, you're whatever. That is energetic. And you're looking through that window. And it is a lens and a filter. And so shamanism is basically the window that you look through that God sees us. Right? We're getting the view that God sees. That's shamanism. Now we're not God. We're just getting that like reflection. Right? When you look into a window and you see yourself, I mean that's kind of what we're looking at, right? Psychology. What's that? That is your individual worldview window, right? So whenever you are studying someone's psychology, you're understanding how they're looking at the world, right? Everyone looks at the world differently. And that's why you can't just stick people in a box, right? And that's why psychology, all those ologies are interesting, but they don't really work because they're sticking everyone in a box, no one's in a box. Everyone's on a gradating scale. I like that. Sporting salt without water has many benefits in your daily life. Yep. Salt used to be, and still is, one of the most valuable commodities around. Exactly. My grandma once, when I was like 6, before she sent me back to my feral family, she said, listen, whenever you get a job or do work, and you're getting paid, 2 things. Don't do anything that you don't like not doing, meaning your job, first and foremost, should be doing a job that you really like to do, because then you'll do it well and you'll get paid well. Second is, do not work for anyone who does not need you more than you need them and their paycheck. And that's been my business acronym, So that's basically it, We are the deciders. That's what we are. We are the deciders. We are here to decide what our life is going to be. Now, we are in co-creation with love, with love. That's the creator, right? And that's the covenant. And that's why we are that reflection of love's perception, right? So you have to be conscious. I am. Conscious of everything you're doing, right? And why would you not want to be, right? Because, if you're doing a specific task, like I'm an electrician, that's one of the skill sets I have that are really a lot of experience, know it well. So I'm basically not having to, I know what it is. There isn't any part of the electrical, experience that I haven't experienced. Now, the last time I really did it as a business, when I was, 2000, maybe, let's say 2005, 6, around there. And now I still do electric work every now and then for people. Like today, I went and looked at, someone was going to spend thousands of dollars of getting some electrician. Oh, we just got to rewire all of this and blah, 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 blah. And we're going to pull these units out of the wall and make a bigger hole, and then we're going to need brick and concrete. And I came there and said, no, not really. And this is what is known as a tape measure, and I measured the unit, and it would fit exactly in the same box that the old unit went into, right? And the plug that the old unit was, that male was going into a female, was the same as the new unit. And so all they had to do, and they had these kind of interesting little things that roll around on casters that are, maybe, I don't know, 4.5 feet high, which was the exact height that if you were to pull loosen the screws on this unit and just pull it out of the box, it would go right on to the rolly thing that you could kind of roll it out of the way, right? And put it down on, a pallet and have a pallet jack roll it out, right? To the next one and do it to the next one. And anyway, these guys gave a bid of $27,000, and I went in there today with two teenage boys and two, 30-year-old strapping guys who cut down logs. And, I said, okay, boys, undo these screws. Okay, let's pull it out. Here's a little, WD-40. I squirted it on and it skidded out right nice and right onto the little black thing and we kind of rolled it out of the way. And the new unit, we took it out of its box. It was just the unit itself. It fit perfectly right in the old box. And then I put the new cover on it and then plugged it into the outlet. And we did it in 5 minutes. There's 8 more to do. Huh? So we did, on that floor, we did 4. So that means there's 4 left. And we put them all on, the old ones on pallets so it can be rolled, and sold it to somebody else because they work too, but these were more efficient. And so I did half the job in an hour, and it didn't cost $27,000. And because the guy who's in charge said, yeah, now let's let Al look at this first. This guy gave us a bid, $27,000. It's going to take 4 weeks. Let's see what Al's got. And I said, okay. I had my little bag of tools and took those screws out and hit it with some WD-40. It slid right out, and it went right onto the caster thing at the same height, and rolled it out of the way. We brought the new unit over, slid it, I hit it with a little more WD, and it fit right back in that box. Pushed it all the way in. The screw holes lined up. Where the cord came out, went right into that little space. I put the new cover on it. It looked great. Plugged it in. It worked. We did 3 more in less than an hour, and it was just frigging. And did anyone say, gee, thanks, Al? You saved us $27,000 and ripping the whole place apart. Now, a lot of people know, when you ask Sensie Owl Bob a question of that he knows something about, he'll usually give you an answer, A, you didn't expect, and that was super duper valuable. I mean, they should have given me the $27,000, right? Then I would have been able to buy a new car. Anyway, but that's one of the problems of life. Now, I've done this for these folks before. Like the last 5 years, I've probably done this 40 different times, where the guy who's in charge go, no, I'll take a look at this and see what he can come up with. Other people, well, he just wears funny clothes. I mean, he's just like Santa Claus, which he lives out in the middle of the woods. But they also, the people who speak that way are the most miserable. They're not just a half empty glass full person. They are 90% empty. There's always a reason. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, yeah. Now we need to spend the $27,000. It's like. Anyway, that's what we're here to do, is to learn, to experience, to understand, right? Now, the interesting thing, so I've been amongst these 3 churches for the last 6 years, and I got them to work together and do stuff that they never could have done before, and it's, right? Now, I never take any real credit for anything. I never, not even close, because it doesn't matter. I'm doing it for God and Jesus, right? It's like, oh, I work so hard, 18 hours a day, oh, blah, blah, blah. No. I live on $400 a month, and I live like a millionaire, right? I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm getting better. Yep, then you don't lose your keys. Well, any discipline that gives you a perspective outside of your own ego will be extremely beneficial. Now, anthropology was a discipline, and ology. All those ologies are almost worthless unless you put them all together. Meaning you don't, unless you're a psychosocial cultural forensic anthropologist, you forget being on any one of them. Psychology, to understand someone's psychology, worldview, is to understand their social, meaning who they are, what job they have, what sexual preference, blah, blah, those social things, right? That's sociology, right? Then there's cultural, where grandma came from, what holidays, what you eat, all those kind of cultural things, right? That manifest who and what you are. Like in America, what's great about America, the greatest thing about America is not that it's a white country or a Christian country. No, it's a salad bowl. It's not a Velveeta cheese melting pot. No, it's a salad bowl. All these separate flavors on top of each other. It makes a great salad. Hmm? You're mad. I'm from India. Well, that's nice. What do you think of today time? This person, shut the. Today's time, there are many points of view. One, is it relevant? Two, it is same as it ever was. Three, when you are aware of the moment by moment, like Shakespeare's Macbeth. The end of the play, he's killed everyone, he's won, he's the king, blah, blah, blah. His buddies jumping around, we won, we won, we won. Macbeth, why are you so sad? We won. And what does Macbeth say? It is tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. Meaning, when you are not living in the moment, but you're living in the future, you're lost. When you're not living in the moment, but you're living in the past, you're lost. Neither of them mean anything. I mean, they have relevance, but that's about it. Perspective, that's about it. Now, if you think you're right about anything, you're wrong. What the best thing you can do is listen. No, they don't. No, no, no. See, again, you're taking things out of context. Somebody who's a real dick and does terrible things, why do they have so much luck? They don't. Because every time they get away with whatever they're getting away with, they're not getting away with it because they feel guilty and they feel terrible and they feel, like the sword of Damocles over their head. People who don't lie, cheat, or steal, on the other hand, don't care. They feel great. They're not worrying about nothing. I learned that at about 6. I hung out with a group of guys, kids. We were 6, and we were running around town, and no one cared. And there was this ice cream slash newsstand slash candy store, and the guy had the penny candy down where you could grab it, right? So he expected you to steal all the shit that he put down there, but not everyone did. And that was his little measuring stick. And he had one mirror over here and one over there. I mean, he could see the whole store from behind his counter. And he, it was his laboratory, his observation. He could see you. He had the comic books right next to the Playboys, so he could see the young guys going over there looking at comic books and then, sticking a Playboy in there and looking at the girls. I mean, this guy was sharp. He was a psychosocial cultural forensic anthropologist. And one time he said to me, he says, Al, Your buddies, they're okay, but, they don't have a clue. And he says, you do have a clue. I don't see you ever steal anything. I never see you lie. I never see you treat anyone meanly or get upset over anything. Well, where did that come from? And I said, well, my grandma, number one, and Mrs. Green, who breastfed me my whole life, who was a black woman who was a doctor. She had an MD, a PhD, and she was a lawyer. And she was in the Army, and she basically ran a MASH. She ran a whole battalion of black soldiers, right? And she ran the hospital, but the guy who was the colonel, the white guy, there was three of them: her, the colonel, and this sergeant major who was a black, like one of the only sergeant majors in the Army, and they ran this battalion, and they basically you name it, they had it. They were a CB unit, but they had tanks and they just like when they hit Anzio and got stuck in the the French heathers that they couldn't, and they were getting shot up, because they couldn't get through it. These guys, took the Nazis put steel so things couldn't just come off the boat, and they cut them up and put them on front of tanks that were like teeth, so they could just run into these hedgerows and just like plow right through them. And they kept doing that stuff all the way to Nazi Germany. They were part of a good old, what's his name, George Patton's crew, right? And he treated them the best because they were up front, shooting, killing, blowing things up, building things, you name it, they were doing it. And they had a hospital. They had the closest hospital. That was like one of the first MASH hospitals. And that, Mrs. Green and two other doctors put together the idea of a mobile hospital, mobile surgical hospital, where they saved a lot of lives. And by the time they were halfway through France, all the people were really beat up and bleeding. All the white guys said, I want that black doctor to take care of me. Because Dr. Green, she would not let go. So people with evil intentions really are punishing themselves. They are in their own hell. They're in their own lake of fire. People who love everybody, who try to take care of everyone, who share and have fun and just enjoy their life, those folk, they're happy folk, right? Look at all the people who are in the present day power structure. Does any of them look happy? Any? No. Some people who are really good at what they do, normally artists of some renown, they're kind of happy because they're doing what they like to do, make art, right? So, anyway, here we are, look at this, 33 minutes, 40 seconds, 24 people are watching, 28 likes, right? So come on, let's get some subscriptions. All you guys who are there watching this thing, subscribe. Come on, jump in. Let's get more people watching this show. Let's get them, what you need to do around your neighborhood is start, cultivating a community cultivator. That's the movement I want to start. Community cultivation, right? That means you go help your neighbor. Not for any money or anything, or expect them to help you. No, just to go help your neighbor. Got it? So, anyway, please share some words of wisdom with me. I can't control my urges. Okay. This is for everybody. You can't control your urges. I tell you, you got a habit, you got a nasty habit, substance abuse habit. You can be abusing any substance, food, soda pop, it doesn't have to be heroin, coffee, nicotine. It is, anything that you cannot step away from. That's a habit, a substance abuse habit, right? So I had it, I love me my food, baby. I love me my fancy food. I love my fancy living, But when I died in 2014, I ended up on the operating table, and they're gonna slice me up like bologna. I said no, and Jesus said, "Well, that's good, 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 good. You're the decider. So what do you got to do to keep going?" And I said, "Well, I'm gonna have to change my lifestyle. That's for sure." And I did. You know, I gave. What did The rich man went to Jesus. And said, "How do I get to heaven?" Jesus said, "Give all your wealth away." Wealth, right? That's what I did. I didn't give everything away. I gave my wealth away. I had a lot of stuff, right? Investments, money, blah blah blah. I gave it all away. And I had always been involved in social activism because it's fun. It's nice helping other people, especially helping people who are totally lost. And just by your example and support, a hand up, not a hand out, they change their life. That's been my art form my whole life since I was a little kid. So please, how do I make it stop? Okay, this is how you make it stop. First of all, whatever has got you by the cojones, it's a habit. Habit is not psychological, it is not physiological, it's a habit. And to get over any specific habit, you have to replace it with another habit. And the best habit. So let's say, like me, right? So I can only talk to you from this point of view, from my experience. So I came out the other side of being dead, and this lawyer needed me way more than I needed him. And so I said, "Listen, you don't have power of attorney. You're my client. You can't tell the doctor, that you had the power of attorney. I mean, you'd get your ass sued if I survived that thing, right? No. So, but you're desperate. You want me to help you, right? And we have 4 weeks to do that. So this is what we got to do. You got to take me down to your hacienda on the Florida Keys. I need a colonic therapist. I need a massage therapist, an acupuncturist. I gave her a whole list, right? And they went and got them, right? I gave them some names of certain people. I went and got them and brought them down there. Those people loved it because it's a big house, and they get right on the beach, and they take care of me for an hour a day and go swimming, and you get So I came out the other side of that, but I still weighed 400 pounds. I knocked down 60 pounds in 2 weeks, just from my diet and getting my colon cleaned out. That was, so I was starting in the right direction. I was changed my homeostasis, right? But from that point on, every time I would drive by, I mean, I would stop at 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 fast food different places during the day and eat 2 or 3 cheeseburgers and whatever else, right? And, get a chocolate dip cone. And anyway, from that point on, no sodas, right? No fast food, no crap food, right? I had this person who was a nutritionist who was working on my diet there before I went and saved the day. By the time the 3rd week came around, I had lost almost 100 pounds, right? And then it kind of slowed down. But I had to change my life. So every time I wanted that, Twinkie, that fast food, that soda pop, I would say, God, please help me out here. I don't have a clue. Take the steering wheel of my life, drive my car. And that's when I would turn my life over to God, right? God's unconditional love. That's what I did. So it's a very simple thing. Every time you have that little niggling sensation that you want to do that, smoke that this, do that, right? You say, no, God, help me out here. From your will to my will. Give me the strength, right? Because you have to go past your own willpower. You can't do it. Your ego's not, it's an illusion, right? I can do this with my own will. No, not going to happen, right? It has to come through a higher power, right? That you're in co-creation with. That's what it's about. You're given this challenge, this real hard thing, so you and God can co-create a better world, right? Because from that experience, you're going to be able to help other people overcome what you got. You got that? Okay. And I would, you know, AJ, you get a hold of me at the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. Now I'm often slow to respond, but I try to look at it all. I get too much spam, and I don't, I have 6 hours a week to use the internet. So anyway, but my prayers are with you every night and every morning. I'm going to pray for you. Okay. And all you have to do is ask God for assistance, And in the good book, it says, God helps those who ask for help. When it said, God helps those who help themselves. The helping themselves is asking God. And not like, oh, I want a new car or I want to. No, God, help me out with this challenge. In, in your grace, in your praise for you, your love as a covenant with me. Help me. That's what I got to do. Ask God for help. That's it. Ask Jesus for forgiveness, because part of why you're stuck on something is that you're not forgiving yourself. And that's the first person you have to forgive. And then go see all the other people you've hurt and ask for their forgiveness. Deep heart problems, and that is the truth. We have three brains. We have the cottage cheese between our ears. We have our heart, which is the hard drive, and our colon is where we store all the information. So I'm a good, what am I? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with your Sensie Owl Bob. Sensei, teacher, right? Rabbi, teacher. Not holy man per se, but teacher, right? And a griot. What is a griot? This person who cracks the door open to understanding by telling you a story. And that's what I do. I tell stories. And I'm here to help, right? And I can do my best by loving you, praying for you, and like I said, if you want to get on the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail and flag me down, we can talk. Since I've been doing this, maybe 500 people have come aboard, and I've had a personal touch with them. And all I can do is, I can't make you do anything. What I can do is assist. Doula. That's what the doula does, assists, and it does it in a total surrender, right, of one's ego. So I do not come from a place of ego. I come from a place of service to love's co-creation. So that's what I'm here to do. And all you have to do, every time you feel that little niggling, right, it's unease, right? Any of that things that got a grasp of you, just say, God, help me out here. In your grace, and my gratitude for your love, let us co-create a place where I can heal myself and those around me, that I can serve you by being my best. I don't need to be perfect. I will just do my best. See that clearly. So I have the people come through this show and get to me from the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, right? The other thing is, when I go out and about, I'm in Walmart, I'm in the supermarket, I'm just on the street, I'm wherever I'm at, if I see someone suffering, I stop and go over and say, "How you doing? What's up? Let's talk." I always have a couple of lawn chairs in the back of my car when I had a car, and I always had Bibles and food and water. And when homeless people, I would stop. I'd stop right there. I'd get out and I'd say, "Here, you need this. Here's the Bible. Here's this. Here's a couple bottles of water. Here's a garbage bag, so it's like your suitcase. Put that stuff in there. Here's some cans of food that had the pop tops, so I don't need a can opener." And then we talk. And I would just look at them, and I have, after 50 years of dealing with people in many, many, many different categories and states, I have basically been able, you can read people. Human beings are like Mr. Potato Head. There's only a certain amount of patterns, certain tells. It's really not, psychic. Oh, he's psychic. No, I'm just watching you. I'm very observant. And I observe people from, as soon as I walk into a space and all these people, I look at them all and I kind of check them out and see who are interesting, who's not so interesting, who I don't want to waste my time with, etc., etc. And those who are in the, deepest of need are the ones who I kind of gravitate towards and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And it goes from there. I'm always doing great because I'm alive and I'm serving God's love. If what's more, my eyes are more, not so much my thyroid, it's the Nazi nun who killed me in the first grade. But, I do have, a tad of a thyroid. I have a tad of everything. Yeah, cheese on chocolate cake. Oh, yes. Sweet and savory are the best combinations you can go for. I don't know if I told you when we had the big celebration for the community center, this lady makes the best beans, right? And so she had her baked beans, and they had hot dogs, but and they'll kill you. Nothing's great about that. But this other guy makes his own ice cream, so he had vanilla ice cream, really good with real vanilla beans, really good vanilla ice cream. And so I said, "Here, give me a big bowl of that vanilla ice cream." And he did. And then I went into the kitchen where the beans were, and where the beans were on the stove and hot. I kind of put two big helpings of beans on top of the vanilla ice cream. And I went back to him and I said, "Where's that chocolate sauce?" And right? And then he was looking at me going, "I don't understand. How could you do it?" I said, "No, no, no, no." I went over, I got a little plastic spoon. I took a spoon out of that bowl and I said, "Here, taste that." But said, that's amazing. I said, "Yeah, it's called sweet and cold, creamy. And the other is savory, hot, spicy. Put those two together, baby. You can't lose. With chocolate on top, ooh, baby." So that's how you have to take life. You can't just stick yourself and do the same thing over and over. Now, I'm very habitual. I can do the same thing over and over and over. Like if I'm driving someplace, like I have a job and I'm going to go back and forth, I take the same road. I don't go all over the place. I first figure out what is the best way to go, and then I do that. But every country has its benefits and disadvantages. Now, see, that's the whole thing about life. Wherever you go, there you are, right? And it's the same old same. So that's why you need to, in the moment, that's every moment, you are consciously aware of that moment. So it doesn't matter about any of the peripherals, right? You are getting that connection with love's co-creation in that moment. That's what it's about. That's what life is about. It's not about testaments. It's not about texts. It's not about liturgy. Not about laws. Tastes like cheese. That's chocolate. Yep, exactly. Yes, people should be more understanding and relatable than being adversary. Right. So what is adversary? Right. It's someone who is what is a Stalinist obstructionist. You're going to object to everything for no reason at all, except that your name is Stalin, right? And you can kill everyone if you want. So you can be that, which is pretty lame and disappointing and sad and not much fun. And and that's why Donnie Chump is so valuable because he is the every boy, right? He's like the Job character. Such a magnificent. Well, this thing I've had. Well, I trimmed it. I had a nice girlfriend in May, and she said it tickled her too much, so I kind of cleaned it up. And then by June, moved. She was a traveling girl. She had projects, so she was around here for a project that lasted 2 or 3 months. I got, how I got involved with her. That, my skill set lent itself to her project, so she brought me aboard, and then one evening when we were just sitting there working away and the other people weren't around, she looked at me and goes, "I'm really horny. Take me." And that's the kind of girl I like. We're out in the middle of nowhere, no privacy whatsoever. That's the girl I like. And she was 42, I'm almost 80. So I was like, almost twice her age. But, we were just kids having fun. Anthropology cannot stand by itself. Exactly. Psychosocial, cultural, forensic anthropology. They all got to be together for it to work. Anthropology was the sciences discipline put together by moron white guys to prove that moron white guys were the smartest people, right? But what it did do, it had a reference point that you could use filters to look at things, and that was a good thing. So you got to use all those other ologies to get there. Right. Psychosocial, cultural. Psycho, what's the worldview? Social, kind of what you do, your job, your sex, this, that's social stuff. What hobbies you like. Culture is like grandma, where they came from, where's the old country, what do you celebrate as holidays, what do you eat on those holidays, that's right, cultural. Forensics, you take it all apart, thread by thread, to see the pattern of the tapestry. Where is Unicorn Head? It's back in the man cave. I can't wear it. This is my unitarial hat because it's got a big rim, so it's going to be really sunny. It kind of protects me from my eyes. Also from me bumping into stuff. It's very good like that, and keeps the bugs away. So that's why this is one. I got about 5 or 6 of these. I got it at a flea market in Florida. Let's see. I was now there was an addiction I had, flea markets in Florida, because I had a lot of money, and all this stuff was unbelievably cheap. I mean, this was $1.75. Of course, I had to buy 5 of them. Right? That was like 10, 15 years ago. Think about it. Exactly. I like that very much, Kessel. You know, if I was a young man, I would move to Africa. Because right now, Africa has the youngest uh, population on the planet. The rest, Europe, Russia, China, Japan, all of those countries, they're going to age out. America, the only thing keeping us alive is, illegal aliens. That's the lifeblood of this country. If Donnie actually, but Donnie's not. He's just a showman, meaning he's doing the ICE thing. I mean, South Park is amazing because it is telling us exactly what's going on. They are really, really, really on top of it, describing, much better than public TV, much better than NPR, much better than CNN, NBC, Fox, you name it, MS, anybody. They are it. And Jon Stewart used to have a pretty good take on it, but he's already gone. Right? Sorry, John. But if I was a young man, I'd move to because they actually praise and value intellect and learning. Like the Gaza Strip had more college diplomas in that small 6 square mile than any place on earth. That was the most highly educated. More poets, more artists, more scientists per square inch in the Gaza Strip than anywhere else. Now, Israel had been smart. They would have brought those guys into Israel, made it one country where everyone's equal. Then that place would be just humming because the Jews are Palestinians. It isn't a racial group, it's a real estate thing. And so what we're seeing now is just a play out of the Old Testament. Go read Kings, right? It's truly frigging amazing how it just keeps repeating itself, repeating itself, repeating itself, repeating itself, repeating itself, and then if it has to, it'll blow everything. That's what the big flood was about. That's what the big, asteroid killing everything was about. We've had already 6 or 7 total on this planet, and we're still here playing out the same joke. So the best thing you can do is love yourself and everyone who's around you. Yes, you can't. I got more degrees than a thermometer. How did you get all those degrees, Sensie Owl Bob? Well, I'd be working for somebody, right, who was based in a university, and we were studying a specific thing, and I would either be at the beginning, middle, or end of that thing. And usually my job was one of getting people to work together. So to be in that position, I had to have certain authority. And most of these people who were there, and they were being studied. They didn't realize, they thought they were the hot shit smart people doing the experiment, but they were the lab rats, really. And so the only way I could kind of just drop in and say, okay, we're going to do this. I could have the authority of a degree. So I got a bunch of degrees over the years. I remember one time we were working on this thing called the STAR program, which ended up being No Child Left Behind. But the thing we did was great. The one they did was just governments. When they give it a name like, war on drugs, meaning the drugs are going to kick your butt. War on poverty. Poverty's going to kick your butt. So no child left behind. That meant every child was going to be left behind. Anyway, so I would go in and be the authority, and the only thing these morons would appreciate, not my experience, not my insight, not my understanding, not my generosity, not my, not having to be in control, letting them, the fact that I make them look good, they were stupid enough to not even appreciate that. Some did. I mean, not everyone was a total moron, but most academics definitely were. Scholars, a different thing, but academics, anyway. So a degree is, it's your experience that counts. It's how you walk into a room. Let's see. Yeah. We all have traumas. Um, the best trauma is the one that's like a band-aid. Like I got murdered by a Nazi, literally a Nazi nun, who was a guy, transgender, right, Nazi, 1956-ish, 7-ish, and grabbed me by the throat, put me against the wall, and just went, bam, knocked me out. But just kept hitting me, broke the orbit in my eye, broke my jaw, crushed my esophagus, broke the little thing in my ear, so I was deaf. And but I was, wanting the first shot, bang, knocked me out. I woke up a week or so later in a body cast in a Catholic hospital where I could hear the nuns going, well, when his brain swelling goes down, we're going to do a frontal lobotomy. And I'm like, couldn't say anything. And then all of a sudden, my Aunt Gracie and Cardinal Cushing and Dr. Black and Sergeant York kicked the door in, threw the nuns across the room, grabbed me, and got me out of there. Thank you for being very happy for me. I feel that joy. Do you know what cheese and chocolate taxis? Yes, I do know it. It's very good. It's very, very good. That's kind of what a chocolate cheesecake is like. Ever had one of those? They make really good cheesecakes in Philadelphia and New York City. Junior's Cheesecake, they make a very nice Swiss chocolate cheesecake. A good person to look at anthropology is a black woman who was the queen of the Harlem Renaissance. Zara Austin something. And she came out of Florida. She came out of Port St. Lucie. She was a painter, a poet, and an anthropologist. She hung with Margaret Mead and Margaret's girlfriend. Every generation does its best and its worst. Gaza. Well, again, as I was saying earlier, it's in the Old Testament. You just go read Kings, and it's just a repeat of the same thing over and over. It's the hegemony of hubris, right? It's when people refuse. There is the two sins: the sin of omission, of commission. A commission is like, you do stupid stuff, and that's a little sin. You walk through a supermarket and you steal something, or you jerk off, or anything you think is a sin, which is not. Um, that's a sin of commission because you feel guilty. Oh, I feel guilty. I feel guilty. Oh, I'm so sorry, God. Please help me out here. God loves that. God loves the sin of commission. He invented it so because it gets them off. It's like, woo, yeah, baby. Now, the sin of omission, that's the sin you can't be refused. I hate God. That's the sin of omission, right? And what that really is not that you're saying you hate God. All those people who are in where everything about their corporate life, their political life, everything is about them. It's about their ego, about their money, about pick any politician, everyone from the top to the dog catcher. They're all scumbags. And they're deciding to be scumbags, right? It doesn't matter. Every country, it's the same thing. It's about power. And power is an illusion of ego. Ego is manifested through fear. So if you're not scared of anything, you're not going to be egocentric, right? Because it's not about you, it's about the we in me. That's what life's about, the we in me. Where are you from? I'm from the Dog Star, south of Las Vegas. Well, you know, if the little boy is lucky, the little boy has a lot of good teachers. And if I've had any blessing, it's that I've had amazing teachers all through my life, from birth to today. And every person who's been a friend, every person who's been a lover is a teacher, right? Anytime you break down that barrier and let someone in, that's a teacher. The beauty of America is its generosity, not its politicians, not its corporations, not its banks, not its factories. No, those are all scumbags, right? Not the fact that making anything is a scumbag thing. No, that's great. A lot of I made lots of stuff. I put lots of stuff out into the universe that help lots of people in a business sense. Just because you have a business or you're a business person or you do things to be paid, that's not being a scumbag. When your life is all about your power, right? That's when you're looking at a scumbag. Or as the Australians would call them, Richard Craniums. Richard, dick, cranium's head. So America is a grand and beautiful place by the diversity of its population, not by its, Velveeta cheese melting pot. No, no. And the present political entity that's trying to say it's only white people that matter. No, no, no. And he's not even saying that. But what's beautiful about Donnie is that he's showing, I worked many, many years as a consultant on everything imaginable, right? And so HR, I did a lot of that, where you teach people how to be, you know, diverse and, equity and all of that. Now, if you force it down people's throats as politically correct, it ain't going to work. In universities, when you say, oh, you can't talk about this or you can't talk about that's not going to work. You got to be able to talk about everything. What's his name? Charlie. What his beauty was, he had a great depth of love inside of him. And it could almost cover up the dynamic of his ambition, right? And so his ambition was to be, make conservatism cool, right? And what did that was his love. And he got to a place where his old dynamics kind of slid away And the power of the money that was backing him was doing things that were outside his own control. But he was up on stage talking to people. Yeah, he could. He was amazing, right? Because you could feel that love. He wasn't some ideologue, but the entity that was backing him sure was, right? So something went wrong in that little equation. It's whether we're going to learn about what happened to poor Charlie, or the real truth, and it always comes out, right? So, and all I know is that it isn't what it seems to be. There are a lot of forensics there that no one's even looking at. So Charlie's just now remembered as a saint, right? Everything about him, what he was doing, all the rest is not there. And the guy who is his almost nemesis, but equally like a twin brother, I forget his name, but he is more right than Charlie was. And Charlie, people behind him was pretty right. So I keep telling people, don't get bent out of shape about Donnie. He is just the symptom, right? And all the chuckleheads that are in his cabinet and all the grifting and all of that, all the unbelievable, I mean, he said exactly what he's going to do, and he's doing it, right? But it's going to be interesting to see what happens this time next year, going towards the midterm elections, right? Because he's, the people above him, behind him, he's just a game show host. He's just breaking the norms. And those norms were not real, you know. Our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, they're illusionary. I mean, he has shown us right in front of our face how to break them. He's doing it. It shows that they have no real value because we don't do anything about it. And the folk who said that, a lot of sacrifice you as people have done is to make those things real. And problem is that people like, between the 1880s and 1950s, that was a period of time where labor and even capital came together and said, let's make this thing really the best it can. I mean, Ford said, I'm going to put, an assembly line and make these cars and bring down the price so everyone can buy a car. And I'm going to pay the guys on the assembly line because it's like hell down there. It's, I'm like using them as cogs in a machine, but I'm going to pay them $5 an hour because I want them to buy a car. And I'm going to give them Saturday and Sunday off because I want them to drive around in that car out in the country. So from the 1880s to 1950s, yeah, there were a lot of problems, like Woodrow Wilson, World War I, World War II, Korean War, Spanish American War, Mexican War, Indian War. Yeah, those were all, not good things because it was ego stealing other people's stuff. Just very similar with the two. There are 108 wars going on around the world right now, and the Strip and Ukraine aren't the worst. And the things going on in Africa. And it's only countries that have resources. And you find Europeans in there giving money to the Africans to kill each other so the Europeans can take the stuff. Same as it ever was. So America's greatness isn't back in the day. It's the potential we have. And the greatness that has happened in the past is the sacrifice that individuals took to step up to that potential. We haven't reached it yet. And we're coming to a place where it's going to be very interesting because the potential of reaching that greatness is right in our fingers. But at the same time, if we keep doing the stupid shit we're doing without learning from it, I mean, you can do stupid shit, and if you learn from it, then it's all right. But if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome, Freud said that is the mark of insanity. I love the fact you guys talk to each other on the chat. Very sweet. Oh, I love all food. Right? I love food that represents specific cultures. You know, that's why I love New York. Second Avenue, every 2 blocks was Lithuanian, Ukrainian, you name it, Russian, right? And not only that, but different variants of all of those, right? So I love, you know, foods that represent cultures. That's what I love. I'm a cultured kind of guy, right? So, you know, that's my fave, right? So, so anything that really represents any culture, that's my favorite food. Uh, what would you? What do I do here? I hit a button somewhere. Button. Who got the button? Well, I'm gonna bail. I think it's almost 6 o'clock here. I'm gonna bail. I love you guys.